Hey guys, so we are back for another raw analysis of the top stocks that you guys requested in the market. But for today, it's something very, I'd say, maiden. It's something refreshing. It's something new because this is the first REIT in the Philippines. And it's just fitting to be able to discuss it right now. The thing, though, is everyone was so optimistic about it because of the prospects about it, that it's rental income, it's dividend income coming from the rental income of the properties. However, once it got listed today, you saw it start to actually go down as well. So the reason why I'm saying that is we're gonna do a deep dive again today for the A-REIT. We're gonna talk about the listing. We're gonna talk about details about it, and I'm gonna answer a bunch of the questions that you guys sent out, all with one goal in mind: to give you as much content and value as possible. Anyways, so for today's podcast, this is what we will discuss. I want to talk about the A-REIT, its first day price action. I also want to talk about the fund has why did it go down? Did any of the fundamentals change? Did any of what we talked about on my first channel, did it all shift? That's why it suddenly went down. Is it a bad company already? Is there something from a fundamental point of view, a business point of view, that has caused it to go down? Then, why was there selling? You have to remember, in the stock market, prices go down when people sell. More sellers bring the prices down. So from 27 to where it is today, below 25 pesos per share, what triggered it? Was there something, as what I've mentioned, in the fundamentals, the valuations, or in the economy that caused investors to sell at that point in time? The number four, we're going to talk about the charts, but as you all know, this is a newly IPO'd stock. And for those who read my books and attended my technical analysis sessions, we all know that technical analysis is predicated on past prices. Given that it's only one day in the market, we can only use intraday charting candlesticks. You can't really see larger, stronger convictions from a day-to-day candlestick like what I normally do when I analyze. Then we're going to talk about dividends. As you all know, a lot of you guys who are into this, who are into who REITs, the main narrative on why you're buying it is because of the REITs that you could possibly get. And later on, we're gonna sync all of this, make a summary, and above and beyond that, I'm gonna share, I guess, some recommendations on what you should do based on everything that's going on. And I'll just say this also before we begin. Every time IPOs happen, and I'm going to make another video about it in my main channel tomorrow, but every time IPOs happen, we don't have a clue. No one can predict or forecast exactly its movement on a day-to-day basis. That's something we can't control. And I've seen different iterations about it from different IPOs that have come and gone over the past few years. There's no specific pattern. There's no specific formula that could be a narrative on how our REITs would go or how listings would go as well. Before that, also, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Marvin Germo. I'm a stock market trader and investor, and I've been investing in the markets for over a decade now. So if you want to get content that's highly connected to the stock market and investing, I'd appreciate if you could subscribe to two of my channels. This is my first channel. It's called Marvin Germo. I have over 1,600 videos in this channel already, which factors in technical analysis, fundamental analysis, the basics of the market. And this channel where you are on, it's called Stock Investing Made Easy. And in this channel, you will get all of the technical analysis videos, stocks by request, and everything will be most likely raw in this channel. So if you love content like this, you like to learn more, you like to trade the markets, like, share, subscribe, and be part of the growing number of Filipinos learning how to trade the markets with confidence, because it can be done. You can use the markets to help you reach your goals of financial freedom. Now, before I also begin with the items that I placed in the table of contents, I just like to mention this. A-REIT made a disclosure that the amount of money that they raised for this listing was 13.6 billion pesos, and this will be a factor to the next set of slides that I'm going to show you. 15.7% of the money that was raised or invested were from non-Filipinos. So certain portion, 15.7. So you have around 84.3% Filipino investors, and the remaining 15.7% were non-Filipinos. Now, that being said, let's talk about the price action. So, by the way, there were some questions also on some brokerage platforms that were not able to do transactions. That's not visible on my end because I'm not a broker. I'm just really a stock trader and investor. So it would be more prudent that you coordinate with your brokers, you coordinate with your customer service representatives from those brokerage firms, so that you get a dose of what really happened during that time. I got a lot of questions that they weren't able to post, I think, buy or sell transactions for their specific brokerages. So I don't have information on that. It would be best to coordinate with your customer service representatives. Now, let's go to Areit itself. So Areit, as you all know, the IPO price was 27. And when I started monitoring the markets in the morning, it was hovering at the 27 peso level for the first few minutes of trading. Then suddenly we saw a bit of price action to ultimately see it close at 24.9%. And what shocked a lot of people was they weren't expecting this to go down this much. People were actually pegging it to either stay at that current level or go higher, because so for the dividend yield to be much lower. You have to remember, if you're after dividends, the higher the stock price goes, the dividend yield also becomes lower. So people were expecting that, because a lot of people were in this for the dividends, there would be possible movement up, making the dividends a bit higher, for making the dividend yield a bit of a premium. But the opposite happened, and that's why there was a flood of questions. I think Instagram alone, I got over 300 plus questions, and in Facebook, but there's a lot. So pasensya na, I can't reply to all of your questions or all of your messages. I try to reply as much as I can. Sa mga na-replyan ko, kayo yung mga una kong nakita. So that's why I'm making this video also, so that for those who are asking those questions from this context, we get to answer it in the video as well. So anyways, I wanted to show this. This is the prices where Ayala land rate was traded. But above and beyond that, the volume, the number of shares that got traded per price. And what I want to reiterate to all of you, the total number of trades for the day, or the average trade, was 6,140 shares per trade that got traded. But if you look at it from a volume perspective, you will see that at the closing, 24.9, that's where 6% of the total volume of trades that happened within the day. And if you look at it in the upper left, you will see this, that the volume weighted average of Areit was at 26.25. Please remember, IPO was at 27, closing was 24.9, but the average, the chunk of where the transactions happened, buying, selling, was at the 26.2571 level. So that's the average. That's where the average number of or the average price of all of the transactions, if you average the highest, the lowest, and everything that happened. But I want to zero in on this. There was 2.91% of the trades that happened at 25.5 pesos per share. Then here, the largest chunk of the transactions was very, very close to 27. If you look at it, 18.35% at 27, 20.07% at 26.95, 14.75 at 26.9. So you have basically around 38, 48, around 50 plus percent already from the 26.9 to 27 peso level. So that means there were a lot of transactions. There were a lot of people who bought close to 27 from today, from the market. And there were a lot of people from the IPO price who sold also at 27. So I just want to give you the context that if you bought at the IPO, or you bought prior to the listing date, then you sold also at 27. So essentially, you're just break even. I just wanted to share that. Anyways, this is the brokerages that transacted for the day. As you can see from the upper portion, the buyers, and then in the lower portion, you have the sellers. I wanted to show you that majority of the people who bought today were locals, but majority of the people who sold today, who sold their position, were foreigners, as you can see here to the right side. And as you can see also, second, third, fourth tab sa sellers, they're mostly foreigners, and not just foreigners, but they're foreign institutions. So I'll repeat it. Majority of the people who sold today, or the investors who sold today, were foreign institutions. So let's continue. If you look at it here, I showed this slide at the start that there was a 7.78% drop, but I want to zero in the net foreign selling. You will see it here that of the amount that got traded today, the total amount, the volume was pretty much decent. No, the value turnover was decent, 832 million pesos, but half of it, around 400 million pesos. Sorry, uh, so foreigners sold at 400 million pesos. So I repeat, there out of the total number of transactions, we had a net foreign selling of 400 million pesos for today. So foreigners were the ones that dumped it. Foreigners were the ones that sold their positions for today. Now, uh, before I go to talk about why did they sell, I want to zero in and let's go back to some of the videos that I posted prior to this. Because one thing that I want you to zero in on also, if you want to invest in the market, is you need to know what you're getting into. Also, you need to know the fundamentals. You need to know the nooks and crannies of where you're putting your money into. Because if not, if you're not standing on solid ground, if you're standing on shaky ground, and you don't know bakit ka naglagay ng pera, then it's easy to be rattled, it's easy to be scared in times like this. And I want to share, and I just wanna show you more of it as well. So I'm not gonna talk about what the entire content of the video, but please just go back to my first channel. Natanggal ko yata yung slide, but it's the video where I talked about the dividends. You can search it first channel in my channel, Marvin Gurmo. You can search Areit dividends. Then it should come out there. But part of that video, I posted this. This is the projected net income for Areit for 2021. So I repeat, this is their projected net income for Areit as of 2021. So if you have doubts on the fundamentals of Areit, you have doubts on their earnings, revisit those two videos: Dividend Areit, Marvin Gurmo, then Areit Fundamentals, Ayala Land REIT Fundamentals, Marvin Gurmo. So what I mentioned in those videos is two of their buildings that are part of this listing are 100% occupied. Then you have another building which is 98% occupied. So since their floors, their buildings are relatively full, it's easier to project the kind of income that could possibly happen for the company. So that being said, if they continue assuming that everything in the prospectus will hold true, the rental income for Areit for next year still, even though there's volatility today, at 1.7 billion pesos. So I hope you're learning and I hope you're getting this. But I wanted also to zero in that you have to remember that majority of the companies there are renting, but part of those rents, they have contracts. And I said this on the video that as of May 2020, the weighted average lease expiry was at 5.84 years. So meaning from where we are today, the average number of months and years that the tenants will be there, still a very, very long time. Unless something drastic really happens or companies that are there would really have to close shop. But all things being equal, these companies would be there at an average of 5.84. And that being said, also the projected income of 1.7 billion pesos most likely would be relatively intact. So I hope you're getting that. And for the other things about their debt, their cash flow, their expenses, they're all in the other videos. And I hope if you're every time, no, my technique is every time that I'm in doubt, every time that my emotions are trying to get the best of me, I revert to what I use. I revert to my parameters. I revert to what I know. I revert to my fundamentals. I revert to my technicals. So for this one, since wala pa masyadong technicals, all you can hold on to is your fundamentals. And as of now, no, based on the information that I have in front of me, we have reason to believe that the data and the business is still running and is moving in accordance to what they've said in the prospectus. And that being said, whatever we saw today was primarily price action. But just to zero in on that, it was primarily price action by foreign funds. So I hope you're learning. Now let's go back to the entire context of it. Why was there selling? Why did selling happen? And remember what I said. Uh, for a stock to go down, investors need to sell at a loss. So think about it. If the IPO price was at 27, it means that if they sold at 27, if they sold at 26.95, if they sold at 26.9, if they sold at 24.9, they sold at 25, they sold lower than 27, it actually meant that, hey, they might have sold at a loss. Remember what I said, it's foreigners that sold down massively today. Locals were the ones that were buying. If you looked at the brokers there, it was local brokerage transactions that were the ones that were buying. It was foreigners, majority, most of the time, that were selling. So that means also, assuming that everyone got their positions at 27, and then they sold lower than 27, those that got out, for it to go down, they sold at a loss. So please remember that during an IPO, when companies exit or people exit and it's lower than the IPO price, they're absorbing a loss. So if they're foreigners and they're institutions, there must be a reason also why they're actually doing that. So again, as what I showed you earlier, 400 million pesos in terms of selling. Anyways, what I don't know, I can't speculate on what the reasons are. I can't speculate, I cannot guess on what caused them to actually sell. But if I would think from their shoes, a reason why they would sell at a lower price, a reason why they would want to escape it, or number one is they probably are seeing a larger and a broader risk in the economy as a whole. So please remember, from the time that they listed, or from the time that they entered the position into this up to the day of the listing today, there was a time gap in between. What does that mean? There may have been some developments, there may have been some pieces of information that could have led them to decide to act on this. So whatever it may be, I don't know. Was it because we moved from GCQ to MECQ? I don't know. Or they might have other uses for that money as well. So one of the things that I'm looking at, because if you look at it also, no, from a perspective of the business, if the tenants are there, even if the economy is not as good, but the BPO industry is still alive, well, and kicking and doing massively better, then the tenants will have the ability to pay the rent that they have for those buildings. So I think the economy as a whole is not as good as what it was last year, but the companies that are in the Areit, as long as they have occupancy, may do well, may do better. Anyways, number two reason that I'm thinking of on why they might have sold, on why they might have gone out, is you have to remember, these foreign institutions, these foreign funds, they're not just invested in the Philippines. They're not just somehow invested in Asia. Probably they might have seen opportunities outside the Philippines, that there might have been better swings, better upsides in other parts of Southeast Asia, in other parts of Asia, or in other parts of the world. Or they might just really want to position for something else that's not into the Philippines, or they might want to position into a different asset class as well altogether. I really don't know what funds that pulled out, who were the exact funds, but our goal here, kasi as investors, please remember this. Our goal is not to focus on things that we cannot control. Our goal is not to focus on and guess in how the minds of other people are thinking, because we cannot. We can just judge things by the actions. And what I can judge is they're going out. So if they're going out, there must be a reason also why they're going out, because they had to go out at a loss. Anyways, I hope you're learning. I hope this is something that's helping you. Press the like button if you're learning and getting something from this. So another reason that I'm thinking is that they're out because they are most likely wanting to be in cash, or they need to take out their funds, or they need to position for something else, or they need their cash for another reason, that they need protection, or at least they want to stay liquid, and that's their whole. That's the whole reason on why they're pulling out their funds. So it could be this, or it could be a combination of all of these three. So, but there must be a significant reason on why they're pulling out and getting out as well. Now, this is the technicals. This is how the charts would look. And as what I've mentioned, we're just showing you an intraday chart because it's just the first day. You don't even, we just have, if we're going to show you a daily chart candle of which I normally use, you're just going to see one long red candlestick. But as you can see also, you had two large strides of volatility. This 30, I think this is a 30-minute candle. So one large stride down, then another stride down. Then in the final minutes, it started to push down again. So it shows you from a candlestick perspective, from a short-term candlestick perspective, a pretty much bearish outlook as well for the stock. Anyways, for those who are in this for dividends, for those who are investing in this because habol nyo dividends, by the way, no, from this perspective alone, it's not bullish, it's bearish. That's just basically it. It's not showing us any patterns yet of reversal from a chart perspective. But again, I'll reiterate this. Since it's not a daily chart, the conviction is not as strong. And again, technical analysis is past prices plotted into charts. Since it's past prices plotted into charts, it would have been better if you have more pieces of data and information to help you decide. But from here, for where we are right now, this is what you can see. Anyways, dividends. Again, the allure of trading REITs is the fact that you can earn money, make money from dividends. And here's what I want to tell you. I posted this in this video that if you're in it to make money from dividends, you can search this. The title of this video in my first channel is Are the Dividends Worth It? I posted here the dividend yields of a REIT. And I made a simulation that from 27, what if the stock price would drop by 10%? And in the video, as I posted it there, dropping by 10% means that a REIT would have to go from 27 to 24.3, which is we're relatively close there. Meaning also, if it drops, your dividend yield would be at 6.5% already. So it becomes more attractive for people who like dividends. This is actually an opportunity for you to get the stock and get a higher dividend yield as well. So for passive investors, for people who are in it to get cash flow, suddenly the amount of money, the amount of yield that you will get vis-a-vis the amount of money that you're investing will be relatively higher. So I repeat, if you are a long-term investor and you are in it because you want to get a higher rate of return, it dropping on the first day gives you a higher dividend yield. That if it goes down to 24.3, as what I've shown you in this in the video that I posted prior to the IPO, you would have gotten a 6.5% dividend yield. Now, at its current price, I did my computations back again. The current dividend yield right now is at 6.3%. So you can make your analysis. Is 6.3% good enough for me? Is 6.3% something that I want to get into? Is 6.3% good enough for cash flow? Remember, bonds right now, retail treasury bonds that got released was around 2.5% only. So if you're a person that's in it for passive income, you're a person that's in it because you just want to get a fixed rate return of cash flow, suddenly your yield right now is at 6.3%. If it drops to 24.3, then your yield goes up to 6.5. If it goes even lower than that, then your yield goes higher. Now, the biggest question, what should you do? What should be your plan? The answer to that is this, and I've been very, very consistent to this. You have to be consistent to what your trading plan is. Meaning, if you said at the start that your goal was to buy it and then sell it intraday on the first day of the IPO, then you should have sold. If your goal also is fundamentals that you will hold onto the stock until the fundamentals are there, then you hold onto your stock. Or you will sell it once you see that the fundamentals of the company would change, then you sell, and then that's when you start to leave the position if the signals will come out. So I'll reiterate this over and over. Winning in the markets, making money in the markets it may not make sense to a lot of people, but as long as it makes sense to you based on the proper principles of technicals and fundamentals, then you stick to it. And that's what I'll say over and over and over, regardless of what you're using. You need to define your rules. You need to define why you want to go into the trade. And as you go into that trade, as you position into that trade, you only escape once your parameters for selling, regardless if it's with a profit or regardless if it's a loss, get satisfied. And if you are in it for dividends and you think 6.3% for you is already attractive, then go for it. But I can't be the one who can answer it for you, because you have to decide based on what you've analyzed. You have to decide based on what makes sense for you. Is 6.3% good enough, or is 6.3% not good enough? Or is it worth you allocating that money, getting that yield? If the answer is yes, allocate. If the answer is no, stay in the sidelines, stay in cash, wait, don't do anything. So there. Lastly, will the stock be up or down tomorrow? Honestly, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a forecaster. I don't know. I don't know what the stock price will be tomorrow. But what I would like to tell you is, if you decide to buy it because you like the dividends, then if it goes lower tomorrow and you have cash, your dividend yield will be higher. If you're in it to trade, then wait for the charts to come out. Wait for more solid charts to come out. If you're in it for fundamentals, then apart from what I said, watch the videos that I mentioned, then investigate. Meron ba nagbago based dun sa sinabi nila sa prospectus? Kung walang nagbago, then you're buying it relatively cheaper. Then it might be something that you can enter into. But based on what I told you, based on the prospectus and based on what you analyze, you think that, hey, this might not be the net income for the next few months and years, then you avoid it. But at the end of the day, you live and die by your strategy. You live and die by your conviction. So that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comment section. There will be another video that will come out in my main channel at 8 p.m. You're gonna like that. I'm sure you're gonna like that. That's gonna be fun naman. So if you have questions on Areit, put them down in the comment section. Then we're gonna make a video on top of that. Then aside from that, if you have any comments, or if you have anything personal, slide a DM on my Instagram account, and I'm gonna answer you there. Yeah, ang dami. But medyo madami na yung questions lately on sa Instagram, but I'm doing my best as I can, as much as I can, to be able to answer your questions. Then what else? I have 5 books in Shopee. They're all in the description below. You can just click them if you want to learn more about technicals, fundamentals, and the basics of the market. And I have online courses with Chinkee Tan and Sean Si. They're in the description below. For those that want to invest in US markets, I have a link below. It's called eToro. It allows you to buy Amazon, Google, Facebook, and all of the other stocks in the US markets. That if you think that you want to diversify, you want to find ways on how you can make money above and beyond the Philippine markets, eToro, click the link, sign up, and you can trade other markets as well. Then I have other playlists, both in this channel and my other channel, that will greatly benefit you. You can click that also as well. So that's it. I hope you guys got a lot. I hope that this is something that was beneficial to you, and I hope you learned a lot from this video. So that's it for now. Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.